Like every day, I feel like I just got home. Welcome to Fatherhood, episode 4. Thank you for joining us. Last week, we talked about, we kind of shifted gears and gave Gage the opportunity to just talk a little bit and just kind of break up the cycle. Obviously, the first few episodes were kind of challenging for me, and I wanted to make sure we can get through those. And, it's heavy, and some of the audience that listens to that, I'm sure some of them can relate to some of those stories. And so I want to make sure that we're just aware as people process things differently, that some of those heavy episodes, this hour,
Yeah.
some of those heavier episodes, it takes a lot to get through. And that's part of healing, it's part of growing. So we're going to jump into episode 4. We're not going to do like my whole military career. We're just going to kind of jump in from, since it's going to be fatherhood related, we're going to jump in kind of, uh, me deploying, me coming back home, how that was for me, how that was for you, and where we are now with that. This is still a conversation between me and you, so when you have questions, just ask. Anyway, so jump into it. Back in, Gage, you were born in 2010, and my deployment to Afghanistan took place 2012 through 2013. I got out in 2014. So gearing up to me leaving, like you were still a baby. You were probably Palmer's age. Do you remember? Do you have memories of that, or is it just like you remember it because you've heard us talk about it, or like you've seen pictures? But or what do you remember before I left?
I don't remember anything. I have no idea what happened before you left. I don't know. I don't remember anything.
Yeah. So that's expected. Now there's a picture that, and we'll post the picture here. There's obviously a picture that you and I both love, and we shared at times. And it's that picture of me packing my bags, Army duffel bag,
Yeah.
and you're inside of it. And that picture, now I'm okay with it. But that picture was tough. In the moment of that, like packing my bags to leave, I was obviously, you were 2, you were my first kid. So I was very new to the fatherhood side of things myself, and um, very involved for those first 2 years. But your mother and I, we didn't have everything in the world, so I had to work a lot, and we were just trying to survive. So there was probably moments that I missed early on that I didn't want to, but it's just part of what you do when you want to work and provide. But I remember now, like that picture at the time, like I didn't know how much me leaving, like when I left for Afghanistan, I don't think I realized how much I would miss you. Yikes. I don't think I've ever missed anything as much as I miss you during that time, just because, like with an adult, you understand when people have to go away and stuff like that. But for a kid, obviously, you didn't understand, and so I'm sure you didn't really understand the amount of time that surpassed. But for me, just like the first few days of being gone, like I didn't feel like I was ever coming back home. I felt like I was just going to be gone forever, and I felt every minute and every second of every day. Your mom made it a priority to keep me updated, to send pictures and stuff. But the reality is life goes on. So like once there was times where like I was in the beginning stage of me being gone, that like, she had to do life with you, and I wasn't getting a lot of pictures all the time. And so that stuff just, I was so scared. I was so scared that you were going to forget me. So that was tough. And that feeling didn't go away. That wasn't just in the beginning. That was the whole time. Like, I just remember thinking like, am I going to be gone and my son not remember who I am? And that was just that was tough for me. And so, anyways, I deploy. I'm in Afghanistan. We get ready in Texas, and then we head to, I think, Kyrgyzstan. I don't know, just another little holding area. And I'm going to be very brief with my military. This channel obviously is not geared towards military talk, so I'm going to be very brief in like my terminology, just because I want viewers to understand what I'm talking about. And this is an open interface. You ask me
Yeah.
questions. anyways, we go. I get to Afghanistan, and the guys I went with were great. Like we created such bonds, and it's crazy like to be so close to those guys. And like we don't talk every day. Actually, we and a lot of us hardly talk at all, but we have all have our own lives. And I think also there's a part to where it's like we were with each other every second of every day, and we kept our job was to keep each other alive. And like now that we're back home, I think it's a part in time that we can just kind of put to the side and like, obviously I would do anything for those guys, and I know they do anything for me. But I think it's not something that you just come home and you're just like best friends with the people you deployed with. It's just hard because then I think it's just constantly on your mind. So we first get to Afghanistan. I don't know, I'm going to tell you some stories you may not you may know them, you may not know them, but we first get there. We get to this place that's called Bagram. It's an airfield. It's a big air base, very large air base, and
What's an air base?
it's like the Air Force ran. It's
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
big Bagram airfield. It's where all the big planes come in. It's kind of like a hub. If you were thinking cities, like it's a bigger city that we operate out of. So we get there and we're in transition tent. So we get there, we get put in this tent, and we're like, okay, you're waiting to get your orders pushed out to where you're living at, what you're doing, stuff like that. So in the meantime, you live in this like transition tent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the tent you live in. You normally live in them as you get there, and I think if I don't, and you kind of live in there as you're going back home. One of the two, I can't remember. So also military folks. Obviously, I've been out since 2014. If I say something on here that's wrong, uh, please don't fact check me. I have a DD 214 you can look at if you need me to prove my existence. But there's just things that I don't remember or that I've blocked out. So if something doesn't sound right, I probably just don't know what I'm talking about. But we got to the transition tent, and I remember stepping off the plane there, and it was just like mountains, like this big circle of mountains, right? Just mountains everywhere, and it was cold, nasty, and the smell was just so funny. It was just the weirdest smell I've ever smelled. Just the earth there just smells different, and so first, I think it was first night. I know I have some of my guys I deployed with that watch the show. So if you guys need to fact check me because I don't remember. I think it was the first night, and I had headphones in. We're laying there asleep, and we started getting rocketed, mortar fire. They'd lob these mortar rounds, so they would launch mortars into the base, and I think it's just kind of now I'm sure the Taliban have gotten more. They probably honed in their expertise on how to do that, but normally they just put them in, boom. And sometimes you can walk them into a target and hit, but it's load of mortar, goes, hits the ground, blows up. But it's first night, man. First night, like, and bombs are hitting the ground. Like, I'm like, is this? People are waking everybody up, and I remember my buddy Mez waking me up, and I'm just like, what? What's going on? I'm like, taking my headphones out, and you're like, oh my god, we're getting attacked. And so it's almost like you could tell we were the new guys. Like, there's bunkers, and everywhere over your on your base there was like these big bunkers, concrete bunkers. And so when the attacks would happen, you get your Kevlar or your helmet on, you put your vest on, you get all your weapons, you get all geared up, and you'd run and get in this bunker. And I remember that, and this just translates. It's just crazy how the time goes. But from the first time we were getting mortared, like you put your helmet on, you put your glasses on, you put your gloves on, you put your vest on, you get all decked out. And it got to the point to where like, and I may laugh through some of these things, and it's not funny. It's just me. That's how I just deal with some of this stuff. Towards the end of the deployment, middle of the deployment, you're like, whatever base you're living at starts getting mortared, and they do the little sirens and stuff. You're like, whatever, dude. Like you go out there in flip flops. You have maybe your nine if you're issued a nine, or you have your AR. You grab your M4. You go out there in a pair of shorts and sandals, and you're like, all right, dude. Like either me hit me with this rocket, or let me go back inside and watch movies on my laptop. I'm done with this going outside, getting under the bunker thing. So it's just crazy, like how the mind changes from being so scared So like you get there at first and you're so scared to die. I don't know, how everybody that's been deployed feels, but and obviously there's some special force teams that are probably well more trained, but it's just a regular enlisted soldier. You get there and like you're just tense, like you just so worried whatever you do is going to kill you, and then you get to the point like you don't care, and not from like I don't care. You're just like, dude, you've taken all your emotions and you've just completely shut them off, like zero emotion. You're just walking around like a robot. Like if I live, cool. If I don't live, cool. Don't really matter to me. That's just some of the dynamics of the mindset when you're there. That obviously, if you come home with, really throw things off. I get there, and our original mission is I really don't know what our whole battalion's mission was, but I remember like there was maybe 5 or 6 of us. We ended up going on a small little detail. We took our whole job there was to teach the Afghan National Army and the locals how to train on different like construction equipment, how to build things. Some of our guys helped build. I don't know. I don't really know what everybody did because you're talking a large number of people, and then we get split up.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough, and that was kind of like that true like that's the military base you see on the movies. Like we had the little you go into these little huts, and then you can build your little room out with plywood. And living in those was cool. You got to set your room up, and Sharon was awesome. We played basketball there, had a good time, did our
Didn't you play
thing.
like football and stuff there too?
We
Or
didn't
like,
play.
or not football? What was you said it was like
We played dodgeball. We played dodgeball. We played volleyball.
volleyball? Yeah, volleyball.
Played volleyball against like some of the other troops and stuff. And so that was just kind of some of the fun things to keep us busy and keep our minds clear there. But I'll tell you something that bothered me was it was Father's Day. I remember there being at Rob Sharana, and it was Father's Day. And, I thought about you a lot the whole time I was gone. But Father's Day there was tough. Not only because, it's tough just in general for me and for the guys that are the dads. And it's kind of like a deal where nobody really asks questions. You just kind of head nod like, yeah, we all agree this is a tough day. But I'll never forget, I was going to the gym, and it was a later afternoon. And sometimes when bad things happen, it's called like a walking blood bank, or I think that's the term, but pretty much they'll medevac, they'll fly in a helicopter in, and they'll start calling blood blood types over the loudspeaker, pretty much saying, hey, like if you have this blood, you need to get to the med station and donate blood to keep somebody alive for the most part. And so I just remember walking down to the gym by myself, and I seen that medevac come in, that helicopter come in, and I heard all those alarms going off, and it wasn't my blood type. That there's moments through this journey that we may not, you know, I shut my feelings off for so long that, and you get acceptable with like you could die off base, you can die on base, you can, there's no certainty over there. And so when you turn those feelings off, it's good for the soldier and you. It's good for the mentality of your mission. But you have breaks in those that type of mindset to where your feelings come out. And I just remember thinking, man, I don't know if I'm gonna get back home to my son. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get to see him again. I remember writing you letters. I would write you letters. I would write I would write you letters in the event that I didn't make it back home. I had a little journal, and I would just write about my day or what I was thinking, what movies I was watching. So yeah, luckily I am here today, obviously, and blessed are the souls that are not. But I never will forget the weight off my shoulders I burned that notebook, and it felt so good. Like I thought about keeping it and taking it home just to share with you when you got older. But I was writing those letters if I didn't exist anymore. They really mess with your head, writing letters in past tense. So I was able to burn that little notebook. I'm so glad I was able to burn that notebook because it was tough. And that's when, after that Father's Day, I just want to get home. And, the guys I was with, I didn't perform any different. I took my job serious. We were in that small little group detail, and then we were attached to other guys that we didn't even know. They weren't with our group. And so my job at that time was to provide security for the instructors. We were out in Kabul at this time. After we left Sharana, I was out in Kabul, and we would be navigating through the cities there. And I took my job serious, but man, I just wanted to be home. I didn't want to be there anymore. I just want to get home to my son. You're in a place where you already feel alone. I'm cutting this out, but I just remember how much that messed with me. It just didn't do well in my head. But anyways, we're in Camp Phoenix. I'm out on missions. I'm providing security for our guys doing the training. We're embedded with the local nationals. We're embedded with the police. At that time, there was a green on blue or blue on blue attacks, and it was pretty much where their military was attacking our military, or their police were attacking they were attacking each other. And I remember we went to Karzai's palace as the president at the time, and they went there for a meeting. I remember doing security there. That was that was an interesting mission. That was fun. I say fun, it was interesting. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of things I'm not going to talk about on a fatherhood show.
Y'all like the sweatshirts?
Yeah, peep the sweatshirts.
Fatherhood podcast.
Fatherhood podcast.
Tell the owner of this podcast to start the merch.
Not starting any merch until until we've made an actual community. All right, so we started this episode earlier. That's my problem. I need to stop telling everybody everything we do. As mentioned in the disclaimer, this episode is a military episode. It's going to be very broad for the most part. However, there might be topics that get brought up, as these are not rehearsed, so I don't really know what questions will get asked or what kind of rabbit holes I'll go into. So I just want to make sure that our viewers and listeners understand that there will be topics that could be sensitive or trigger people that have, things like PTSD and stuff. So from there, we'll get going to the episode. But I really wish we could start where we left off. I'm going to see if it's there. So we started filming this earlier. We had some distractions and some technical difficulties. So we are now redoing it. So we'll try to piece that in. So anyways, I think we left off. I was telling you about the Father's Day, the walk-in blood bank on Father's Day. And I told you, I think I was getting to telling you about being stationed I was at Camp Phoenix, which is in Kabul.
You're talking about you went through the president thing.
Yeah. I did security at President Karzai's palace. That was very cool, but very scary too.
What is that?
What?
Karzai's palace? President
Karzai, he was the president of Afghanistan at the time, and so he has a palace. And some of the instructors there had a meeting, and so we had to provide security for our team while we were there.
Was it did you see him, the guy?
Oh, I stayed, I did external security.
It's cool though.
It is cool, but so during that time, that's when there was a lot of those green on blue attacks or whatever, where the Afghan National Army was attacking us. And if I'm not mistaken, right around that time, luckily it wasn't our guys, but right around that time at that same location, I think that's why we might have kind of been a little bit more uptight. It was either the week before or week after, they were in a meeting in there, and one of the Afghans just grabbed his AK and just wiped everybody out in the room.
Pause.
So anyways, yeah, there were some tense moments there The security part of it was fun. So pretty much like we just kind of controlled the air and controlled the environment we were in. Just made sure everything ran as smooth when the instructors were teaching classes or instructors were demonstrating things. We would kind of make sure that everything else was going on around them. So it was pretty cool to get dispatched from what we were doing to that mission. Kind of came with a bit of everything over there. That's, everything you do overseas is an accomplishment. I just felt when you think of, a job overseas or a job in Afghanistan, that's kind of what you think. You know what I'm saying? You're going out on mission, you're outside the wire doing those things. So it gives you a sense of pride after you come home. I was in Camp Phoenix, and Camp Phoenix, our gate guard, the guy that monitored the outside gate, his name was Rambo. And he just monitored the gate. Well, yeah, like that. So, but his nickname was Rambo. And he actually has a signed Sylvester Stallone. That's the actor that played Rambo. He actually has like a signed Sylvester Stallone picture. And he wrote him like this letter like saying, hey, you're the real Rambo. So he protects the gate with just a bat. He doesn't have a gun or anything. Like he even stopped an attack on the base with just a bat. And there's actually a YouTube video. If you got some time, look up Rambo Camp Phoenix, Afghanistan.
On there?
I'm not on that, but it has a little quick documentary on Rambo. He was an awesome guy, awesome gate guard, and
it's pretty cool.
Really there to help his people and help us, honestly.
Like with a bat with like wire on it, or just like a baseball bat?
Just a little slugger, man, ready to go to town.
But he really got shot.
He stopped somebody from exploding a car bomb with just that bat. So.
Shout out Rambo.
Yeah, shout out Rambo. Tough dude, man. Tough dude. And we had some. I can't say their names on here or anything, but we had some interpreters along with us that were awesome. Man, our interpreters were great.
Is that like people who like translate and stuff? That's cool. Those are cool. I like the army movies that I watch. The people, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. So our interpreter, he didn't wear any kind of face covering and stuff, and most of them, because here's the deal, most of those interpreters, they come on base, like they're secured to come on base and go on mission with us, but most of them go back home back out there outside where they're not protected. And we had one interpreter, he didn't normally they cover their face and just have their eyes out and stuff, or sunglasses on. And our interpreter didn't wear anything. And I remember we're in the car or in the truck, and we asked him, why don't you hide your face? And he was just like, man, he's like, it's hot enough. And if they're going to kill me or they're going to attack me, I don't want to have a bunch of stuff on my face. He's like, I'm doing this to better myself and my family, and I don't care who knows it. So I thought that was a bold move, not in a mean way, but I think that was a bold move, kind of like sticking the middle finger up to the Taliban and like, hey, I'm here to protect my country and protect the Americans that are here. And I'm trying not to get too politically based when I talk about that, but just my time over there, you appreciate so much back home. And now that the time has passed, obviously I've been home since 2014, and so I do get in the habit of complaining about things at times. Now that I've been home for a while, I feel like I've taken some things for granted, but when you're there and you first come home, we're just the life that those kids, man, I have pictures on my phone of just like kids like 3 and 4, and they're just carrying bricks and walking down the side of the road, and you're like, where's that fella going? Just to be out there without parents, and I don't know, it's just a scary world. It's just a different world, and that's home to some people. So
in like movies, like don't they like put their like kids with like bombs and stuff? You probably have to cut all this, but like this is just like side conversation.
No, that's
ain't that like, don't they like do that and like walk them out to distract from like a sniper?
Yeah. So obviously those are some big moments that happen in movies, and without being insensitive to people that's experienced it in real life, that is a real situation. The enemy likes to use women and children
like at the same time, right? Kind of like, what do you mean? Or like walk out together? Not like walk out together, but like kind of like have like a kid with like on his chest or something, like on his body.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're thinking very movie eccentric right now, but Yes, it's not so much at the same time, but they just use the enemy. Our enemy uses women and children in ways that we would never think of, and they obviously know the rules of war and rules of engagement that we have. So using women and children was a tactic, and it works and it's successful, and it's sad to see. It's just sad. I couldn't imagine, you know, packing. It's just sickening how that world operates. Yeah, it's just it's hard. And if you see me pausing during some of this,
Reminiscing.
no, reminiscing's definitely not the word. It's just it's different, man. It's. I'll tell you what. I came home. I got out of the military in 2014. And it's 2025 now, so that's 11 years. And there's not a day go by, and I'm sure there's plenty of veterans out there that can speak on this, especially combat veterans. There's not a day goes by where war and deployment and sacrifice doesn't feel like yesterday. Like every day, I feel like I just got home. Now, obviously, I've grown a lot since then, but like every day, like tomorrow, I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be just as fresh in my mind tomorrow as it was, January of 2014 or the end of 2013 or whatever it was. Like, there's no timestamp of when all that stuff goes away. And so it's very tough. It's tough to navigate. It's just tough. A lot of us, we smile and we get through the day and put on a brave face after you get out, and you're just happy to get out and you don't want to deal with it anymore. But then it catches up to you. It's really hard. So if you do have veterans in your family, or, just in your life in general, like, just shed some grace at times. And I'm not just talking Veterans Day. I'm just talking just in their daily walk. Sometimes, man, days are just hard. And not that everybody gets a pass, but think about us on our hardest day, just in general. And then add war to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, add combat to that. It just makes things different. So, anyways, did security for our stuff like that. And we had a cool little 5 or 6 man team. And man, we just did everything together. Everything we did was it was awesome. And at the time, Camp Phoenix would have midnight chow. And that's where, like, whatever was left over, like, they would randomly open the chow hall for, like, people that were on night missions. And so you'd come in there at, like, 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 a.m., and we would come in there, and before we go to the gym or after we go to the gym, we'd go in there and just make these insane burgers, top them all off, get burgers and cereal and that fake milk, and have us a good meal and watch, like, a game that was obviously, old game back home. I'm going to say something that the world may not know. And I'm going to be, I don't know, I'm going to be careful doing this because it's not a political stunt. I'm not sharing political views. But I want you to know, since I'm telling you, and I want people that listen to this to know that back in 2013, 2014, there was I don't know if it was a government freeze or a government shutdown, or just it was I don't know if it was a recession. I don't know what it was, but there was a lot of budget cuts that happened. And our president at the time thought it would be a good idea to cut meals for soldiers in Afghanistan. And I don't know, I'm not familiar with Iraq. I can't speak on Iraq. And when I say this to you, I don't want you to, like, comment or say anything derogatory. I just want to let you know and let everybody know that. So the president at the time cut AFN, which is Afghanistan something network. It was pretty much just like the only TV channel we had that would play old games and old NFL games or NBA games. And it would be like the only channel on that you could watch, like, on the treadmill or when you're around. And I'm not complaining, because some places in Afghanistan there's none of that. But the message that would display on all the TV is, due to budget cuts, this channel has been temporarily or suspended or removed. So we lost our only little bit of entertainment that we lost. And then we also lost a hot meal. So like lunch, if you were on base at lunchtime,
MRIs.
it's MREs, meals ready to eat. You could pick up an MRE. They did offer MREs.
All right. I thought it was meals ready instant.
Meals ready to eat, MRE.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with that, obviously, but when you're, I don't know, it just was weird that, to be out there and be in the middle of nowhere and serving your country and, a meal gets taken away from you. And it was different. Yeah, it was hard to deal with. Like, you already don't have much, and so you get this little, network TV.
Like a hot meal to y'all is like 1,000. Like, I mean, that's like a big, like a hot meal in the army in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had for most bases we were on, you had a chow hall. You could get breakfast and dinner, and there was good stuff. Now I've went to a couple places. I won't say the name of these fobs, but you get there and it's called like a blackout fob. So you get there and you're kind of right in the middle of no man's land. This will be kind of a good lead up to my next story. It's not a bad story or anything. It's called. I'm not gonna say the name of the fob. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and I'm not allowed to say. Anyways, the name of this fob is you would think by the name this could be this great place, and we're just going there for a couple of days or so. So we get Black Hawked in and dropped off, and I'm looking around. In most bases, like there's space between you and the villages and stuff. I remember as we lowered that Black Hawk down, I'm like, dude, this place is right in the middle of like a village. And so they drop you off. You get there, you kind of get linked up and you realize, dude, the only thing keeping the enemy out and me in is they're called Hescos, and they're these big wire woven crates, and you fill them full of sand and rock and stuff. And I mean, it's good defense and some like barbed wire up top, but the infrastructure was not great at this place, and you're right in the middle of it, and it was put there obviously discreetly to operate out of. And so blackout fob, you couldn't have lights. Like there was no lights on the fob. Yeah, there was no lights. All you had is you could use like a red headlamp or something at nighttime, but there was nothing there. Like the next morning's meal got flown in from a different area. So like you had to wait for.
So it was like pretty much like you can't do anything.
No,
I mean you couldn't cook nothing.
No, not there. No, not this place. They didn't have anything like that. The meals came in from a different base, a bigger base. And it was still hot food. I mean, it was a little lukewarm because it had to get flown in. But yeah,
Didn't you tell me like one time you had to like drink that nasty drink? Remember that?
Yeah. So
had, like bumblebees in it.
It's not bumblebees. It's just tea, and it's just a courtesy when you're in meetings and stuff like that. They'll offer you tea, and I'm not a big tea guy, right? I'm not a big natural tea guy, and so there's like sticks and stuff floating in it. Not really sticks, but just it's courtesy to drink the tea. So my mindset when we were in that meeting was like, I remember looking over at the guys. I was like, oh my god! And you have to.
If you get it, you
got to drink it.
Right? What if you don't? Will they shoot you or something?
No, these are. So you got to understand.
Like disrespect.
You got to understand though. You're saying will they shoot you? If you're meeting military officials or villagers, there's a lot of great people there. A lot of people just trying to live. So culturally, they have a culture where it's just considered respectful. If somebody offers you something, it's very old school and like you don't talk to women, you don't show the bottom of your feet. Like it's just a lot of respect signals that honestly I appreciated. It was nice to see. So when you say would they shoot you? No, they're not going to shoot you. They're just like me and you. The Taliban, the Al Qaeda, those are the terrorist cells that obviously get involved there, and that's where that comes from. But no, anyways, so we were at that meeting, and they fixed that tea, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna chug it. I'm gonna pour this cup up and just chug it down, and then they'll leave me alone with this tea.
I bet they gave you more.
Well, I chugged that tea. I was like, Not a fan. Well, they see my empty glass sitting there. Came and filled it right back up. So the guys, we all kind of got a laugh about it, and I was telling the interpreter, oh man, I said, no disrespect, I don't even like tea at home. Like, if it ain't sweet tea, I don't want it. And so I remember they filled that cup back up, and I sipped on that mug slow the rest of the way through, because I was like, I do not want another refill of this. But no, on that base that was all blacked out, we got put in these we were just there a short time, so, the base logistics, whatever, they just threw us in this little, I don't know, it's like a little 6-room, it's like a building, and it had 6 doors, on each side. And on the other side of my room, like, it's me, the one guy I traveled with is down the hall, and then across from me is a ANA, like an Afghanistan National Army soldier, and a dog, his dog. And I think I may have told you this story before or whatever, but it's blackout. You can't see anything. This isn't the place you're getting Wi-Fi. Like, you're just out there roughing it for this. For this one, you're just there, ready to get on to your next mission. We had a few things to do the next day, and we were out of there. So these very thin doors it's what separated you, and it wasn't even like a door, like a locking door. And like, I used to sleep, like, when you sleep there, you sleep with I slept with my 9mm under my pillow, and then my M4, my assault rifle, was literally right next to me. Like, you just sleep in bed. It's the crazy thing about it, but you just sleep in bed with guns. Like, you never know what's going to happen. And so I'm trying to doze off. It's hot, man. It's hot, terribly hot. I'm in my gear. I'm just laying in my gear still, and I doze off. But then I hear, I'm like, hello. Look around, can't see nothing. My eyes are kind of adjusting. I'm like, what's going on? I'm panicking right now. Like, I'm like, oh God, the guy across from me this is gonna be one of those times where they, do the green on blue attack or blue on green attack, whatever it was, whichever way it goes. And I was like, I'm done for. So I kind of maneuver my 9mm out from under my pillow, and I got laying on my leg, and I can feel something. I'm like, dude, somebody's about to pop up and, like, choke me, kill me, shoot me, stab me. And the door's not moving. I'm like, hello. And about that time, I hear a bunch of people yelling across the hall, and I'm like, oh God, dude, this whole building's about to get wiped out. Like, I hear them talking, obviously, in their language. I'm like, yep, this is a wrap. I hear a bunch of movement. So I'm raised up now. And then no sooner than I, like, simultaneously raise up, that freaking dog, I mean, and it looked like Cujo at the time. You're in the dark, and it's a German Shepherd / something mix, just a big, scary, military-looking dog. And we had decided to let the local nationals have them or train them and they are not doing well at it. This guy does not know how to handle his canine. Dog just jumps on my bed, like, paws up in the bed, just looking at me, and I'm like, oh my God. And so then about that time, I hear the guy, the local, hollering and stuff, and I was like, hey, in here. And I get a headlamp on and come, and he's laughing. I'm trying to laugh, but also try not to poop my pants. And he gets his dog, and it was like, now I can laugh about it, but in that moment, I'm
scared to death. You almost shot the dog.
No, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have shot the dog. But it's moments like that, like, dude, it's just like your life just flashes in front of your eyes. Like, it started with a creaky little door thing spinning up. I'm like, oh, okay, this is either I'm dying or I'm about to eliminate a target here in front. Like, there's not a good situation that's about to happen right now. And so you go through multiple of those moments, man. It weighs on you. So now it's a story I can laugh about and, something we reminisce on. But during the time, that was scary. And I just remember I was like, I grabbed an orange and some coffee, and I was ready to finish what we had to do there. They didn't have running water or anything. I think we were there, if I'm not mistaken. They were building bathrooms for the American soldiers there. And so I went to just kind of provide security for the guy that was working all the contractor stuff to get it laid out so they could have actual latrines or which are bathrooms. But when we left that place, I was like, nope, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. So it was, those stories are good. There's good stories. And then there's stories that are rough, man. Like, I think September 11th, obviously the anniversary of September 11th, when we were in Afghanistan, everything was heightened. And I think we got, maybe some of the guys who were with me could quote me on this. I think we got rocketed like 22 times that night. And each one was just getting a little closer, you know what I'm saying? Like, as you walk in those mortars, and so it's like, you're in these bunkers, man. You're just like, this is about to be it.
I don't know how I couldn't sleep during that. I'd just be like, I don't know what I'd do.
Well,
I'd run away or something.
You go so much on your adrenaline. In Camp Phoenix, I remember they shut up the outside wall, and I was literally walking back from the shower. We had to walk to this little building, and I think my buddy House and Max will remember this. I'm not sure, but I walked to get to this. The normal bathrooms we went to are out of order, so we stayed in tents at this time, and it was dark too there on the backside there. And I had my flip flops on, my shower shoes, walking to that showered, and I was walking back. And simultaneously, as I was stepping in, I stepped in a mud puddle, and it just flung mud up on my leg, mud water up on the back of my leg and calf. Simultaneously, as that happened, they decided to attack that exterior wall, like just drive by and shoot it up. So you hear, and then I felt all that splatter on my leg. And I thought for sure, dude, I thought, oh, I got bullets in my leg is bleeding actively. So I remember going back to the tent. I was like, hey, check my leg. I remember us laughing about it. Just because when finally we got lights on, we just realized that I was just covered in mud after a shower. But man, it's Afghanistan molded me to who I am today. And some good and some bad. Obviously I'm trying to keep the stories, the light, because there were days that weren't good, and there's hard moments, and they tell you when you first go over there, go through all these trainings, and you're like, hey, anything that is any kind, you see piles of rocks stacked up, that's an indicator for a bomb. Well, guess what? They stack rocks up everywhere. So when you first get there, you're like calling out over there, like, oh, stack of rocks 2 o'clock, stack of rocks 60 meters, stack of rocks. Oh, hit the mic. Stack of rocks over here. And like your mind is just constantly going, like watching your environment. And it's like the one time you don't call off the stacked rocks, you get back to base and realize that, a truck was out, and they have these things called DFCs, which is direct focus charged. They would aim them towards like the gunner's hatches of the big trucks. So what happens is you don't call that indicator, you run through and hit that pressure point or whatever, it triggers that bomb that literally just explodes right out at the level of the gunner to pretty much instantly kill or hurt them. So those are things that just, your mind just races the whole time you're there. I can't remember what the equipment was used that we had when we were in the city of Kabul. We had to ride around in the Highlanders, Toyota Highlanders. I want to say it's the BFT, turn your Blue Force tracker. I have to check my terminology. So military guys, don't eat me up. It's been a long time. But pretty much, if you had your BFT on, it would stop all radio signals. So if you, it would be hard to cell phone detonate a bomb. You know what I'm saying? Well, we were driving through the city. We'd been gone for a long time, and it was we had been reports that it was a dangerous day to be out, and we were already having problems with communications between the trucks, and we were trying to get to a different site. The site we were supposed to be at was a wrong site. They were acting shady there in general, so we're on this shady drive, and then the contractor we're with, his cell phone starts ringing. So if all of your equipment was working right, your cell phone doesn't ring. So I remember that cell phone ringing, and we all looked at each other, and we looked down at that box, that BFT box. We're like, Well, we're pretty much riding around with no way to determine, like, if somebody wants to blow us up, they can. Grateful, knock on wood, we got through that mission and got home. But there's just some moments, man, that just defined me. Just things you see, what war and what combat do to people, and it's just you can look in somebody's eyes, man, and you see life stripped away from 20-year-old men and women, 30-year-old men and women, and the effects of war. They just don't go away. They get better, and you can kind of mask them, and you can, the VA has tools for you, but for the most part, dude, it takes over your mind, and it gets to live rent free, and you can never evict it, it feels like. So I don't really know story wise if I've stayed on track. I just, what I want you to understand and what I want viewers to understand is that, after I got my GED, obviously didn't finish high school like I said in previous episodes. That's the track I went. And I went to the military, honestly. I went to the military to become a police officer. That's what my goal job was. And, obviously God has our best interest in mind. And I finally got home and I went through I applied at a bunch of different police stations. At the time, like tattoo policy, a tattoo shows my arm. And like now it's crazy because obviously now I'm 36, so it'd be hard. But I look now, I'm like, man, when I was applying to be a police officer, you couldn't have a beard, you couldn't have a tattoo. And now I'm like, every freaking cop,
like full arm sleeves,
riding around has sleeves. None of them are shaving. That's cool. Because honestly, like for police departments, when you have that rule, you cut it. And this is no offense to anybody that's graduated to college or used the educational track to become a police officer, but I'm just going to be straight up with you. There's no better candidate to police, to serve and protect, than those that have protected our country. And so those law enforcement offices and those cities or counties that were so strict on that tattoo policy and stuff, I don't know what the percentage of, but a lot of veterans have tattoos, right? It's just kind of a stigma. But you're telling me, like, clean cut Johnny that graduated from EKU law enforcement is more qualified to serve and protect than a man that's been to Iraq, Afghanistan, saved his buddy's life, brought his friends home, fought tooth and nail, sacrificed everything, and he's got a tattoo that comes below his elbow, and he can't do the job? That's insane to me. So I do commend agencies that are changing that policy. And for the longest time, that was after the life I lived, that's what I want to do, man. I was like, man, I just can't wait to be a cop. I can't wait to just serve and protect. I was like, okay, well, the military path will get me ready for that. Obviously, I've had some awesome jobs post-military that still support the military. It just wasn't in my cards. And God has plans, and I look now, I'm like, man, if I was the cop, maybe at the time, when I came back home, maybe I wouldn't have had the time to coach you as a little kid. Maybe I wouldn't have had time to build that relationship. So, I try not to ask why, but I think I was telling Hannah the other day in bed, we were watching some cop show, and I was like, man, if I could go back a few years and, obviously from the financial side of it with our family, like if I could do it again, I would love to become a police officer. It's still one of those things that I would love to do. I don't see that happening though. So that was my goal with my whole military service is to, one, I need to get my butt in gear, and two, I wanted a career in law enforcement that just didn't ever pan out, and that's okay. So I know there's a lot of skip through on this, and I do. So this little bear, love from Afghanistan. You still have this bear. I sent this thing to you immediately once I got there and found a little shop thing. His mouth's falling off. Yeah, that was our dog chewed that. But it means a lot to me that you still have stuff like that. And it just, I don't know. I miss you so much during that time. I feel like the hardest part in being like deployed, and I'm sure other jobs have this same effect if you're gone, The hardest part for me was watching. It's like you're dead, and you're watching. You're looking over your family and your friends and everybody, and you're watching what life looks like without you. And the care, when you first leave, everybody's sending care packages. Everybody's, on social media tagging you and posting you and praising you and writing you letters and making you phone calls. But after a few months, life starts kicking in. And I remember like my uncle and them had like a 4th of July cookout. And in my head, I'm thinking, you shouldn't be doing a 4th of July cookout. I'm not there. Like, why are y'all having fun? I'm not there. Or, just some of your friends and family just doing life. And it's the hardest thing to watch is other people, you being in another country, worlds away. And it feels like it feels like they mourned you leaving, and then you get a front row seat to watch them live life without you. And that is the most mental. I don't know about anybody else that's been in those circumstances or deployed and felt that, but that alone will drive you insane. You start resenting people just for living life without you. And that's normal. That's 100% normal. Like to just people, people have school, people have games, people have life, dinners and cookouts and bonfires, or it's weird to look back and you want the whole world to stop while you're gone, and it doesn't. Like this world never stops for you. Instead to be there and see life kind of go on without you. It's just tough. It's tough stuff, and you grow to figure it out, and nobody meant any harm by it, but the letters get shorter, the care packages get less and less, and yeah, it's tough. There was also a moment to tie this into fatherhood. Tie this into fatherhood. There was a time that a small group of us were instructed based on what's going on. I talked to the chaplain and stuff, and we were encouraged to we did have internet and stuff too when you had to pay a crazy amount to get the internet at certain bases, but to either write somebody a letter, reach out via email or whatever it may be. And I said it'd be a good idea to forgive somebody and a good idea to ask somebody for forgiveness. And so I thought about that for a while I was there. And I found my dad on social media, on Facebook. And I reached out to him, and we had conversations just through Facebook Messenger, and I asked questions, and I don't have all that stuff now. He may. But we were talking about kind of where I was at and what I was doing, and he's prior service Marine. I don't know much about his service other than he's a Marine. But I was just letting him know, like, hey, I forgive you. The past is the past type deal, and if I make it home, I would like to have a relationship with you and see what it's like. And I kind of told him when I was going to be coming home, and I thought he would be at that coming home ceremony. We talked a little bit, and it didn't last too long. Our conversations didn't last too long, but I felt like that was the most traction we made is when I was in Afghanistan. We would message. I was kind of telling him about what was going on, and he was telling me a little bit about times with my mom and how he wasn't ready to be a dad at the time, and he was sorry. And I don't really remember everything he said, so that's why I'm excited if he'll accept my invite at some point in time to come on the show. But I remember inviting him to that coming home ceremony, and I probably just did a bad job of not giving the dates out or something, but I guess I just thought he'd be there. And so it just put me back to square one of feeling stupid for opening up. And yeah, I don't know. Like I was so happy to see you, obviously, but it's like we don't have anything in common except for military. Yeah. So he didn't make it to that, and that was tough. But on the flip side of that, man, pulling up and being on those buses, I remember I had my uniform ironed. It was crispy. I was so excited to. Actually, I don't know if I was excited. I was scared to death to be back home. I didn't know what life was going to be like. And I was excited to see you. I remember, you know, I got that picture of you jumping up and hugging me, and I can remember you like feeling the back of my head, and it was almost like you were just like checking to see like if I was me. You just looked at, I mean, you smiled, but you would just keep pulling back and just kind of looking at me and just staring at me. And man, I'm so glad to get to make it, but you know, people don't make it back. Not everybody comes home, and not everybody gets that reunite. So I was so thankful to get that reunite with you. And it was life wasn't easy. After I got back, I struggled. I was just so scared. I didn't know what to do. I mean, it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm home, and I'm just, we got home right before Christmas. I'm just sitting in the living room. I wanted to go back. I hated being home. Everything felt different. Everything felt weird. After the first 2 weeks of the coming home parties and the eating dinner with all the people you missed, I was over it. I just wanted to go back. I wanted to be as far away as I possibly could. It was hard. Coming back from that is hard. And I just had to, I spent a lot of time in the gym. I was in best shape of my life. I spent a lot of time in the gym, but I literally lived there. I was going to the gym 2 to 3 times a day. My whole way of coping was working out, meal prepping, working out. And I just go out and drink, party, and smile, right? Tough guy soldier just comes home. I would go out to bars and I would go out to look for fights. Like most people go out to look for fun, I'm going out to try to find something that's going to bring me enough adrenaline and enough that to channel that inner rage. And luckily, I mean, I was blessed not to get in trouble. I'm just being honest. I'm just being real with you. It's real life. Can't sugarcoat it. I went out and I drank. I've been in Lexington and stuff, and went out to bars and was drinking and stuff, and started my truck. And I think somebody told, there's a cop there, because as the bars closed, the cops kind of come around. And I remember, I remember being in my truck and the keys were in the ignition, and that at that point, I'm pretty sure is a DUI and you can go to jail. And I remember that cop came to my window and said, "Where you going, buddy?" And obviously I was completely trashed. And so I'm just going home, and he's like, "I don't think that's a good idea." And he kind of reached in and took my keys out of my truck, turned my truck off, and I just started bawling my eyes out. I was like, hey, I'm an Afghanistan veteran, and haven't been home long, and I just don't know what to do. And he just talked to me. We just talked. I don't know if he was a veteran or not. I couldn't recall any of the conversation because I was so jacked up. But I remember he was saying, he said, "You're a military guy." He said, "So you're no stranger to a wreck or something." I just kind of laughed, and he said, "Let's go over here to this hotel and let's get you checked in, get you in bed." And he could have taken me to jail, and I would have been arrested, and I would have lost my security clearance. It would have screwed up my jobs. It would literally still have an effect today. So that's the importance of, now this is where it becomes a life lesson. Substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, all those things, man, it takes one time, and there's no mercy. You can be 14, you can be 21, you can be 30. It takes one time, and your whole life can be screwed up. If not your whole life, a very large portion. Life is hard enough without that stuff. From there, kind of got and checked myself a little bit. Started going to the VA, talking to somebody for a little while. Got back in the workforce. and made some improvements, obviously from the that side of it. It's just weird, man. War's weird. War's weird. Like even today, I'm healthy. I have an amazing family. I have a beautiful home, beautiful vehicles, beautiful children, beautiful wife. Everything in my life is amazing. And there are some days that I will sit on this couch or lay in that bed and I will go through pictures or videos on my hard drive, or I will watch any war movie to just trigger me and put me in this like depressive, like take me back. It's so crazy the effect that it has on you. And that has been something that I can't shake. And I do it. I don't do it. I don't know why I do it. It's almost just like just to feel that again. It's like sometimes you're home and and I don't know, like if there's veterans out there that have that, I'd be curious to know. But for me, it's a real thing. Like we could go out to dinner, have a beautiful night. And there's nights I'll come home and be like, okay, well, since we've had a great dinner and we've all went out and, had dinner and play with the kids, now it's time for me to go turn off all lights and watch a war movie and put myself back into a box I was in Afghanistan. It's just so weird how that happens. And, I'm okay, but those moments still occur. And it sets you back, man. It sets you back. I don't know why. I don't know why I do it. I'm sure there's other veterans that do it, or I would assume. And it's not for anything. It's not like we don't want to be here with our family. Like, I love being home. I don't want to go back to Afghanistan. But like in those moments, it's like, where's that Michael at? Where's those feelings at? Let me just feel that one more time. Let me feel sadness. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, God chose for me to be here. I can't feel guilty that I'm home from Afghanistan with all my limbs, and I can't feel guilty about that, but you do at times. So yeah, it's those are those moments in life have a everlasting effect on you, and it affected it's affected me. It's affected me a lot. I mean, you got to think about it. I came home from Afghanistan, kind of got settled in, then started coaching t-ball. I was literally, I'm sure if there's anybody that watches this that I've coached in t-ball, like their parents, they're going to laugh. Y'all were freaking 4 years old. I had 4 and 5 kids, and I'm making y'all tuck your shirts in and you need white socks and blue socks, and wear your hat straight and tuck this in. And parents, you better buy them a belt. They're not going to be out here without a belt. You need blue or black or gray cleats. This is people pay $25 to play this t-ball. 6-game season, and I'm treating it like it's boot camp. Like, that's just what I, like at the time, like I know people are probably like, dude, this guy's crazy, or what's he thinking? But that's just what I thought was supposed to happen. And, over the next episode's going to be wrap it all up with me as wrapping up my coaching era. But that's what I started doing with like 4-year-olds. Like, hey, you all have to go out and buy a blue belt. I look at kids out here when we go to the park sometimes. There's kids out there with neon green socks and Kool-Aid lips and no hat on and a shirt untucked. I'm thinking, man, 2014 Michael would have lost his mind. Now, even still, I can't. Hey, hot take. Wear team colors. There's no reason for middle school age boys to be having on neon green socks on a school uniform. Yeah. But, no, I can't wait to get into the coaching episode. And I hope people will hope this episode helps people understand me early on when I started coaching, and that everything that I did was out of care. Guys, I know we didn't cover a lot. If you came here for the military stuff and went here play by play, you missed out, because that's not what this was. This is just a brief caption. And honestly, the more I want to be an open book. I want to be an open book with you. But when it comes to this stuff, the military stuff, I just worry about what people may hear. Not you can handle it, but I don't want to bring up memories for people that don't want them. So I try to just highlight the funny stuff and the stuff like that. There's some serious stuff too, but, and listen, this show's brand new. I'm sure there's going to be multiple episodes where I reference it. So thanks for joining us on this military episode. This is part 3 of 4 of me as a host sharing my journey. And then guess what, guys? It's up to the guest.
It's go time.
I'll obviously have some more episodes where I'm just kind of on here talking a little bit about certain topics. I want to cover co-parenting and a few other things. Appreciate Gage. I appreciate you for just, again, each episode. I want to thank you just for having the emotional fortitude and mental stamina to be able to talk and to be able to share moments and listen and not get sidetracked. That means a lot to me as your dad. And there's been a few people from last episode just commend you on how well you've spoken and shared your thoughts. So I do appreciate you. How do I do it? Still working the intro, still working the outro. So until next time, peace.
Oh.